Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. So yesterday was a nightmare stream that my cat just ended. Just barely touched my computer and it shut my whole screen stream down. That's okay. We got through it. We got an extra nap. I did not actually get an extra nap, but I did get motivated to do a whole bunch of stuff yesterday and it was awesome. So now we're trying to decompress from the craziness that we just went through, and we're going into more crazy. When we last left, they were at a sidebar with Judge Ito, and they are still at a sidebar with Judge Ito. So here we go. I saw that. We will not be finished with the trial by the time the Netflix comes out. We just won't be. Even if we just did nothing but, oh, 29th is tomorrow. Yeah. Nope.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you. Now, Detective Edwards, you described for us that Miss Nicole Brown Simpson had gone down to the West Los Angeles station to have these Polaroid pictures taken. Is that correct?
I drove her there.
All right. And you took these photographs, did you?
Yes, I did.
And when you took these pictures, you did the best you could to try and accurately display her injuries. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
This wasn't the first time you'd taken Polaroid pictures, was it?
No.
And were you experienced at doing that at that time?
Yes.
And you took these pictures at West Los Angeles station, right?
That's correct.
And how many pictures did you take altogether?
3.
And the 3 that we see here, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I'm going to ask that the jury be allowed to see these pictures up close and personal after I ask a few more questions, if the clerk pleases. All right. Now, with regard to these pictures, is your testimony these pictures don't accurately reflect how she looked?
That's true.
Let me see if I understand this. You took the camera, you focused on her, and you took 3 shots. Is that right?
That's correct.
And these are the 3 shots that you took. Is that correct?
That's correct.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Let's show you, first of all, the marks. People's 1 for identification. People's 1 is a photograph.
These are people's 3, 4, 5.
1, I'm sorry. People's 3 purports to be a photograph of a female. Is that a photograph of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes.
That's People's 5. Council Record 5, it's like 3. Is that a photograph of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes, it is.
Did you take that photograph?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you People's 4 for identification. Is this a photograph of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes, it is.
Did you take that photograph?
Yes.
And People's 3 for identification. Is that a photograph of Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes.
Did you take that photograph?
Yes, I did.
Now, did you ever go to court to testify in this matter, any criminal proceeding that took place?
No.
Did you ever at any time have any further discussion with Nicole Brown Simpson as to whether or not you wanted to proceed with the charges against her husband?
No.
You didn't talk to her after this?
No, I didn't.
The last time you talked to Nicole Brown Simpson with reference to this incident was on what day?
January 1st, 1989.
At what time of the day was that?
When I took her home, it was around 6, I believe.
6 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
And when you had occasion, did you not, to get very close to Nicole Brown Simpson on this night? Is that correct?
Well, she grabbed me and hung on to me. Yes.
Excuse me, Your Honor. After the record examination.
I am, Your Honor. I'm going to hold the photographs up. All right. You got very close to her, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have occasion to determine whether or not she'd been drinking that particular night?
I didn't smell any significant alcoholic beverage on her breath. I don't believe I did.
I'm not asking about significant alcoholic beverages. Did you smell any alcoholic beverages on her breath?
Not enough that I would be able to detect it. I don't remember it.
Well, I don't understand that answer. Not enough? What does that mean?
I can't remember smelling alcoholic beverage on her breath.
So your answer is you don't know one way or the other, right?
I just can't remember smelling alcoholic beverage on her breath.
The answer is you don't know at this point, right?
Okay, I don't know.
All right, that's all I'm asking you. Your Honor, I'd like at this point, if this is the appropriate time, to show the photographs.
Mr. Cochran, if you would then hand the all 3 photographs to juror number 1. Actually, hand it to our bailiff. Ladies and gentlemen, as you look at the photographs, would you pass it to your right? Actually, to your left. Sorry about that. Juror number 1, would you pass the photographs to your, as you look at it, pass it to your left. That way everybody will see it quicker. But take your time. Please take as much time as you feel you need. As you look at the photograph, pass the individual photograph, please. We'll get used to the procedure. But please take as much time as you feel you need to look at the photographs.
Now there's DNA all over them. And fingerprints.
I'm sorry, let's just go down the front row, please. And then we'll come back around to the cheap seats.
Are you talking to Chinny?
Reflect that all 22 of our trial jurors and alternates have had the opportunity to view peoples 3, 4, and 5. Mr. Cochran?
Thank you very kindly. Just one or two more questions before we take a break.
All right.
Now, Detective Edwards, after you took these photographs the jury has just now seen, you looked at them, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And you had the ability, if the pictures didn't show something you wanted to show, you could take another picture, could you not?
No,
You couldn't take any more pictures?
it was out of film.
Wait a minute, you mean to tell us that the Los Angeles Police Department only had 3 shots on a Polaroid roll on January 1st, 1989 at the West Los Angeles station?
It was out of film in that camera.
Did you get, with the Polaroid camera, as I recall it, you put another roll in after that finishes. Is that correct?
Right, she wanted to go home.
Wait a minute. How long would it take you, sir, to put another roll, slide another container inside that camera?
She wanted to go home to her children, and it wasn't my option. I had to comply with her.
So you didn't have time to take any more pictures? Is that what you're telling us?
That's correct.
You did have other film at that station.
I would imagine somewhere locked up in that station there was film.
Now, you drove her back home, did you not?
Yes.
What stopped you from taking some pictures at her home when she got back home with her children?
She wanted, I didn't have any other film with me. That particular camera was out of film.
Well, there was other film at West Los Angeles Station. Isn't that correct, sir?
She wanted to leave. She wanted to go back to her children.
Can you answer my question? Was there other film at West Los Angeles Station?
Somewhere in that station, I'm sure there was other film.
And you could have gotten that film. Isn't that correct?
I could have eventually gotten the film,
And you
yes.
could have put that film inside that Polaroid camera. Isn't that correct?
Yes,
You could have taken that camera back to Rockingham, right?
I could have.
And you could have taken the pictures that you claim you now want. Isn't that correct?
If I would have ignored her request, I could have done all those things. It's true.
You did not do that, did you?
No, I complied with her request to go to her children.
But you were a police officer out there, and the reason you take pictures is so you can preserve how the person looked for years later. Isn't that correct, sir?
Exactly.
And you didn't do that according to your testimony, although we have these photographs, right?
I did it to the best of my ability.
All right. Can we stop at this point? I'm not finished with it yet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the noon hour. Please remember my admonition to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case. Don't allow anybody to talk to you about the case. Don't perform any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. And we will resume back here at 1:30. All right, Detective Edwards, you're excused until 1:30. All right, thank you, sir.
Don't Google it. Don't TikTok it. No, there was no Google or TikTok. Oh, wait, there's Google. Barely. The judge is muted.
Our jury panel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier in our proceedings, I gave you instructions that certain of the evidence that would be received by you would be received for a limited purpose. The testimony that you are hearing regarding this 1989 incident is one of those incidents that is being received for the limited purpose that I have already instructed you on, and you are to make note that as you listen to this evidence, it is for that limited purpose that I have already instructed you on. All right, let's have, Detective Edwards, please. All right, good afternoon, Detective. You're reminded you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Cochran, do you wish to continue your cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Detective. When we broke at lunchtime, we were talking about this Polaroid camera. Now, I want you to think back for us. This camera that you had, did you have that camera at the scene at Rockingham before you went to West Los Angeles?
No, I got it at the desk.
At West Los Angeles Station?
Yes,
And that was your station. You were assigned to that station at that time, right?
that's correct.
And the time you got that camera, how many exposures, or what was the total number of film that you had in that camera at that time?
I don't know, I shot it until it was empty.
All right, now, and in shooting until it was empty, is it your testimony that you only took 3 shots?
I believe I only took 3.
Do you recall taking a photograph of Nicole Brown Simpson while she's still in the police car?
I don't believe I ever did that.
You don't recall any such photograph being in existence?
I'm pretty sure I didn't do that.
All right, do you have any records that would refresh your recollection on that at all?
I don't think I took a picture of her in the car.
All right. Now, at some point, you described for us that a young lady or a lady by the name of Michelle came out to the police car and started having a conversation with Miss Nicole Brown Simpson. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so that we're clear, as I understand it, at that time, Mr. Simpson was not outside. You could not see him at that point.
He was not outside in my view.
And you were still outside the gate at this point, right?
That's correct.
All right. And this lady, Michelle, can you describe her for us, please?
I believe she had dark hair. She was about 5'4", and I think she was Filipino, but I'm not really sure.
You believe she was Filipino?
I'm not sure. I know she had a long last name that I can't remember what it was.
Was her last name Michelle Abdurrahman?
Smith.
Abdurahim? Is that refresh your recollection?
That might be it.
That sound about right to you?
It was a something.
And did she appear to speak to you with an accent?
She had an accent, yes, but she spoke English.
All right. And you believe that she was Filipino, did you?
Well, not really. I just can't. I didn't ask her what her nationality. It was at night, and I really don't know.
Well, now, you were out there, of course, in response to this phone call. Did you or your partner or Sergeant Vinger ever interview this Michelle Abdurahman?
Just to admonish her of 148 of the Penal Code and tell her to leave.
No. Let's get back to my question now. When you admonished her, you told her to leave because she'd be interfering, right?
That's correct.
I'm asking you, did you interview her to find out what had happened, either inside or outside of 360 Rockingham before you arrived there?
No, I did not.
So you did not take a statement, and as far as you know, not only did you not do it, but neither did your backup sergeant or your trainee partner. Is that right?
No, because she was inside the gate after I told her to leave.
So your answer is no, you didn't do that?
Nobody interviewed her.
All right. Were you aware that there was a second woman, another woman inside the house, a so-called nanny? Did you ever see another woman?
I didn't see another woman, no.
You never saw her or talk with her, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, by the way, with regard to you said you would spell for us the name of your partner. Spell it for us now, will you please?
You know, I didn't look it up to see what it is, but it's Milweski, I believe.
Milweski?
Yeah, something like that. First name Patricia.
That's close, all right. Now, did this officer, Milweski or whatever we have there, did she ever have occasion to, as a female officer, look at Miss Nicole Brown Simpson's body for any other bruises or injuries at some point?
Objection, Your Honor, unless the witness is present.
I'm asking, he answer yes or no. He knows?
Hearsay.
It's not hearsay.
Overruled. If he was present, if he knows.
I was not present during that.
All right. But you instructed her, did you not, to look at her body? Did you not?
That's correct, I did.
Okay, tell us what you asked her to do.
I asked her to go take her into the women's bathroom that's located in the lobby of West LA Station and see if she had any bruises or marks on her back.
And did you then see your partner, female partner, then go along with Miss Nicole Brown Simpson into a bathroom area?
Yes.
All right. And you weren't in that room, obviously, were you?
No, I was not in that room.
And then they came back out at some point, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And after this was all over, you had occasion to write out a report, did you not?
That's correct.
And in that report, you talked with your partner as to her observations, did you not?
Well, my partner wrote the report, and I assisted her with it, yes.
So you had occasion to see her report, and you had her response as to whether or not she saw any bruises on Nicole Brown Simpson's body, right?
That's correct.
And it's true, in fact, she did not see any bruises, right?
Sustain.
All right, there is a report, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is she here today in this building, your partner?
Not that I
partner?
know of.
You haven't seen her?
No.
All right. You still work West Los Angeles?
No. Van Nuys homicide.
All right, now, Detective, so that we're clear, I believe you indicated to Mr. Darden that you believe that you arrived at the scene sometime after 3:30 or thereabouts. And if I were to indicate to you that the call that came to downtown for the 911 was at 3:58, would that refresh your recollection that you were there a little after 4 o'clock or
That's
after 4
correct.
o'clock?
Oh, he's rude.
That'd be correct.
Rude.
That's correct.
You also told us that you had heard in the transmission that the woman calling the 911 had said she was being beaten. You heard that, did you?
No, it appeared on the video screen in our car.
Well, isn't it true that what appeared on the video screen was that it was the comments of the transcriber, the person who was working down at Parker Center?
That's correct. That's what I testified to. That's what we were given as a radio call.
You didn't say earlier today that it was your understanding that the woman who made the call had said she's being beaten. Did you say that?
I can't remember if I said that or not.
Right. Okay, well, at any rate, you think about it now. At no time were you ever told by anyone that Nicole Brown Simpson or any lady inside that house ever told anyone they were being beaten through the transcriber. Is that correct?
At the time that I got the radio call, it was just that a woman was being beaten in the background.
All right, that's your understanding, right?
That's correct.
All right. So let's assume that you arrived there at some time after 3:58. Knowing that information, can you now tell the jury and the court and jury with better precision as to what time you actually arrived?
No, because I don't know exactly where I started from and how long it took me to get there unless I had the arrival time on that document that you're talking about. Just refreshing my mind, I think it was under 10 minutes, like I testified earlier.
So every time you got the call, you think you got there from the area you were in near La Cienega or whatever, in about 10 minutes?
I'd say it was under 10 minutes, but it was around that area.
All right. So let's assume that you were out there by 4:15 a.m. And this is New Year's Day, early morning hours, right?
That's correct.
And how long were you there until you left to take Miss Nicole Brown Simpson down to the West Los Angeles station to have these pictures taken we were talking about?
Probably somewhere around 8 or 10 minutes.
So if you arrived by 4:15, you say by 4:23, 4:25 you'd be out of there. Is that right?
4:30, somewhere around there.
In that general range?
Right.
All right. Now, you described for us, was it raining that particular night?
It was a light, misty rain in the hills pretty much only.
And had it been, was it also kind of muddy outside?
Yes.
Did you ever at any time go inside the residence at Rockingham there and look at any of the rooms or at any time go inside the house?
I never got past the front gate.
Your testimony is that everything you testified about in this 8 to 10 minutes occurred with you outside the Rockingham residence. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Asked and answered 18 times.
The photograph that showed Miss Nicole Brown Simpson with the apparent mud or whatever on the right side of the light colored or white colored pants she was wearing, did she have that mud on the pants when you first saw her?
Yes, she did.
And that was on the right side of her body?
Yes.
And that was consistent with some of the marks or injuries you saw on the right side of her body also? That same size?
What's the objection?
Question today, how can you testify with an injury consistent with mud?
No, that's not what I asked, but so I wanted to be clear for him, so may I state it again, please? Your Honor?
Please.
Okay, good. Your Honor, I'll proceed. You've described for us that this mud was on the right side of the pant leg of Mr. Nicole Brown Simpson, right?
From the waist down.
Right. It was on the right side.
Yes.
All right. And did she have injuries on the right side of her face or body?
Yes, she did.
The same side as where this mud was, right?
Except that there was no mud between her waist and her shoulders.
That's not what I asked you, officer. I asked you, is it the same side as where the mud was?
It's the right side of the face. Some of the injuries were on the right side, yes. Some of them were on the left.
I asked you, were there injuries on the right side?
Oh, the side of her torso? No, just on the side of her head.
Were there injuries on the right side of her face, officer?
Yes.
Now, by the way, when you took her back home, did you ever book these pants into evidence so we can have them look at them now?
No.
When you went back home with Mr. Cole Brown Simpson, did you go inside the house at that time?
No.
You just let her out of the gate?
At the front door.
The front door of what?
The house.
So you went inside the gate this time?
But I think we drove to the front gate and let her out, yes.
Well, it's not clear. There are gates all around the premises. Did you drive inside the gates up to a front door of
Yes.
the premises? Did you go inside?
No.
So you let her out and she just went inside the house?
That female came out, Michelle, came out and met her, and they went in together.
She and Michelle went inside and you didn't bother going in at that point?
No.
When you went in the second time, did you ever see the nanny at that time?
No.
Now, this was the morning after New Year's Eve, is that correct?
That's correct.
In talking to Miss Nicole Brown Simpson, did you discuss with her the fact that she'd been to a party that evening?
I asked her.
Yes, that yes or no? Overruled.
Yes,
She indicated she'd been to a party, is that correct?
that's correct.
If you think about it, you have a lunchtime to think over it. You recall, don't you, that she had been drinking that night? You recall that now?
Leading.
No, that's not it. No, I don't.
You don't recall that?
No, I don't recall her had been drinking.
Did you write that in any of your reports, sir?
That she had been drinking?
Yes, whether or not she'd been drinking.
I don't think I did.
Did you ascertain that both she and Mr. Simpson had been to a New Year's Eve party?
Yes, Fozzie.
Overruled.
Fozzie,
Yes.
we all know.
And
It's hard to talk when they're talking into my ear. We know. Nan told you to stop.
did you find out what time they come up from that party? Overruled.
No.
This is part of the conversation that we're talking about now. At what point did you have this conversation about the party and what happened earlier?
At the station?
At West Los Angeles Station?
Yes.
Is that written down anywhere?
No.
So you just have an independent recollection of that 6 years later?
Yes.
Now, when you asked Miss Nicole Brown Simpson whether or not she wanted to be taken for medical treatment, is it my understanding she indicated to you that she would seek her own medical treatment? Is that correct?
That's correct.
You described for us that you were just recently assigned to the West Los Angeles area prior to this incident. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you had never been to that residence before, right?
That's correct.
You never knew either of these parties before this time, right?
That's correct.
You've never had a conversation with Mr. O.J. Simpson before this, right?
That's correct.
You've never seen him when he was angry, if he was ever angry, had you?
No, I had never seen him angry at all.
You've never seen him happy before?
I had seen him on television in football games and things like that.
Well, I wasn't talking about on television. I'm talking about in person, officer. You'd never seen him at a time in person when he was either happy or sad.
I've never met him before.
All right. So, with regard to all of your observations about him being angry or hostile or whatever, you had never talked to him before this particular night, right?
I never talked to him, but I had seen him on television, things like that.
You'd never talked to him in person, officer, before that night, right?
That's correct.
You indicated that at some point, Ms. Simpson said that the police had been out there 8 times before and hadn't done anything. Did you ever have occasion to check to see whether or not in the logs at West Los Angeles Police Department there were 8 previous contacts, written contacts, from West Los Angeles to that particular residence on Rockingham?
No, I just took his word for it.
Could you just answer my question? Did you ever check that, sir?
No, I took his word for it. I never checked.
So the answer, you didn't check. And to this date, you still haven't checked, right?
To this date, I haven't checked.
If officers from the West Los Angeles station would come out on a social call to stop by and talk football or whatever, there wouldn't be a record of that, would there?
I don't know.
Well, if an officer from the Los Angeles Police Department assigned to West Los Angeles stopped by Rockingham, saw O.J. Simpson, and just stopped by and talked football when they saw him outside, let's say, you wouldn't write that down, would you normally?
I don't know. I've never done it. I wouldn't.
Well-
I wouldn't know.
Are you a detective now, LAPD?
Yes,
And how long have you been a police officer?
24 and a half years.
So you know something about the procedures, don't you?
Yes,
And someplace at some time in 24 years, you've worked in an area where you've had some friendly encounter with somebody in your particular beat area. As a matter of procedure and your training, did you at that time have occasion and were required by your training to write that down?
I object to this question. The compound is confusing Mr. Coughlin to become a witness. He's not-
Overruled. Overruled. Do you understand the question?
I think so.
Try to answer, please, sir.
There would be a couple of ways to log something like that. You just drop by someone's house, either going to Code 7, that means to eat. You would be taking your Code 7 time or your eating time to visit that person, and you may log it at that address. Or as an officer call, you would log it whenever you went to a business or a person's house for any reason like that.
Any other ways that you might just stop by and not log it?
I would imagine.
All right. Now, when you
Thank
talked to
you.
Mr. Simpson at some point, you described for us that he had on some shorts and a robe, and you at some point, after talking with his wife, made a judgment that you were going to place him under arrest. Is that right?
Psychopath, maybe?
That's correct.
Okay, now at that time, had you spoken with this lady, Michelle Abderon?
No.
All right. At that time, did you talk to Mr. Simpson about what may or may not have happened?
No.
All right. But you made the judgment he was going to be placed under arrest, and you then told him to go back in the house and get dressed, right?
That's correct.
And is that normal police procedures?
For 273.5?
Yes.
Penal code arrests? Exactly.
You just tell him to go in, put your clothes on, and come back out here, right?
No, that I was going to place him under arrest.
No, I mean the procedure. You missed the question. The question was, is that normal procedure for you to stand on one side of the fence and say, I want you to go in the house, put your clothes in, and come back out here so I can arrest you? Is that normal procedure?
It was a tactical decision I had to make with just my partner, myself, and an injured victim in the back seat.
So that was your tactical decision. Now, your tactical decision was you were going to do this even after you'd been told that Mr. Simpson had lots of guns. He could just go in the house, get dressed, and come back out, and you stand up there and wait. Is that right?
Exactly.
All right. And by this time, had you thought to call for backup for Sergeant Venger?
Yes.
Had he come by this point?
He was on his way.
And he arrived there at some point shortly thereafter?
Yes.
And sergeants travel in vehicles by themselves. So he's a one-person car. Is that right?
That's correct.
So he then came back out, right?
Right.
Now, as I understand your testimony, is your testimony that Mr. Simpson left out of one of the gates of this place at 45 miles per hour?
No, he went southbound on.
Now I understand it just a little bit more. Not a lot more, but just a little bit more. So he was there with Nicole. Someone comes and tries to grab Nicole out of the car. He wants to arrest OJ, but he doesn't leave Nicole. He didn't leave Nicole the whole time. That's why he told OJ to go back in and get dressed, and he didn't go inside with him because he stayed with Nicole, which I'm fine with. I think it's still stupid, but I'm fine with that. If I can make that make sense in my head, I'll be okay.
On Rockingham at about 45 miles an hour as soon as he left the gate.
All right, what speed was he traveling when he got outside the gate?
I don't know, he went by pretty fast. I didn't get a real good look at the car. I'd say probably 15 to 25 miles an hour.
You ever driven a Bentley before?
No, I've chased him.
So now let's see. You chased one, but you haven't driven one, right?
That's right.
All right, and so your testimony that as he got outside the gate, the Bentley was traveling about, on the way outside the gate was 15 miles per hour,
Right,
and then it soon got to 45.
right,
And did you and Sergeant Wenger both go in pursuit?
right.
Did you have any communication so there were other vehicles in this pursuit at all?
We switched to Simplex, which is an internal car-to-car frequency, and we broadcast that on Simplex.
All right, were there any other vehicles involved in this so-called pursuit, sir?
Simplex.
I think a total of 5 searching the area ultimately, but I was the only one that was directly trying to catch up with him.
You were the only one supposed to be following the Bentley, is that right?
Right, everybody else is fanning out through, there's multiple side streets, and we were checking the side streets.
Now, after this incident, you described for us that you may have stayed there 8 to 10 minutes. You went to West Los Angeles Station, right?
Well, we ended up down around Bundy and Wilshire in attempt, from there we went to West LA Station.
All right, and Miss Nicole Brown Simpson was in the vehicle with you.
That's correct.
All right. So ultimately, you got to West Los Angeles Station.
That's correct.
What time was that?
I don't know. I would guess somewhere around 5 o'clock or before 5.
5 o'clock a.m., thereabouts?
Right.
All right, and how long did you stay at the station?
Just long enough to get the camera, take the 3 photographs, have her go in the bathroom, come out.
Now, could you answer this question? How long did you stay at the station? Can you tell us that in minutes, officer?
I'd say about 8 to 10 minutes.
And then was your partner still with you at this point?
Yes,
The two of you then drove Miss Simpson back to the residence of Rockingham?
that's correct.
That's when you dropped her off?
Yes.
And did you stay at any time there other than to drop her off and then you left again? Is that right?
We just left.
You're saying
Did you ever
everything
see
I'm
any
thinking.
children
Every
in or
single
about
thing.
that residence that night?
No.
Did you have occasion to have a further conversation with Mr. Simpson that you haven't told us about thus far, where he described to you?
Objection to call for hearing second.
May I finish the question, Your Honor?
The form of the question calls for hearing
May I
second.
finish the question, Your Honor?
Over here at the sidebar. With the recorder, please.
I mean, I knew I didn't really care about it at all when I was that age. I just didn't. I just thought, oh, he's rich, he'll get off. Not a big deal. He got off. Not a big deal. But now that I hear, how 8 times before they went to his house and they try to arrest him and he runs away, and then the Bronco chase, and I don't know. It just all this stuff I never even knew. I wonder what else we're gonna find out. Even in the 90s, though, he beat his wife wasn't that shocking. It wasn't like, oh my God, no one ever does that. Hell, it's 2025 and it's still not shocking. I don't know. I didn't see the trial yet.
Have that be read, or should I just restate it, Your Honor?
State it again.
Certainly. I doubt I will read it. did you have occasion to have a further conversation with Mr. Simpson that you haven't told us about thus far, wherein he described for you the events of that night as regards he and his wife? You answer that yes or no.
No.
Did you have any follow-up conversations with Mr. Simpson on a day after January 1st, 1989?
No.
Do you know an officer by the name of Farrell?
Yes.
And was he one of the officers who did some investigation on this case?
He's the one that filed the case as a misdemeanor.
So he did have something to do with this case?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not, of your own independent knowledge, whether or not Officer Farrell had any further conversation with Mr. Simpson?
Just from what Farrell told me.
And were you able to ascertain whether or not he talked to him?
Objection to that.
Yes, I said yes.
Farrell will follow the officer to the witness stand, Your Honor.
Sustained. It's irrelevant.
When you saw Michelle Abduram out at the vehicle, it's your testimony that you recognized her voice as the person who told you there was nothing wrong at the premises there?
Yes.
And what was there about her voice that made you recognize it?
It was probably the accent or something, but I realized it was the same person from the voice.
I know, it's awesome. I love that Sony logo. I've been watching it the whole time.
Were you able to ascertain whether or not there was any, strike that, were you able to ascertain whether or not any of the grounds in and around Rockingham were muddy on that particular evening as you came back to the residence or at any time?
That whole mountain area appeared to be wet.
I presume it had rained over a period of time then, is that correct?
Right.
The Polaroid shots that you took at West Los Angeles Station, was that after your partner had taken Mr. Cole Brown Simpson into the bathroom area?
No, it was before.
All right, and was any effort made to take any shots or pictures of body in that your partner saw?
We were out of film.
Well, we went through that before, but there was film in that station, was there not?
I would imagine somewhere in that station there was film.
All right, was there any effort made to get any film so that you could take pictures of her body as your partner saw them that night?
No.
But you never asked anybody for any film, did you, after you ran out?
No, she wanted to go home to her kids.
But you didn't take the camera home either, did you?
Didn't have any film.
But, officer, you didn't ask anybody for film.
I think we've been through this once already.
That does sound familiar, Your Honor, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I think I did ask that. Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further of this gentleman at this point.
All right. Mr. Darden?
Detective Edwards, you testified that you saw scratches and bruises on the Cole Brown, is that right?
Yes, I did.
You didn't see any scratches on the defendant when you saw
Second,
him?
leading and suggested, that's improper redirect examination. I didn't go into that.
Yes, he did.
Overruled.
Redirect examination.
Overruled.
Ha ha.
No,
I bet you if Marcia was asking that question, it wouldn't have been overruled.
I did not.
You see any bruises on the defendant?
No, I did not.
See a handprint around his neck?
No.
The only person you saw with scratches and bruises and handprints around
Object,
his
this
neck
is
was
argumentative.
Cole Brown.
Sustained. It's leading, it's argumentative, it's suggestive. Calm down, gentlemen.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Calm down, gentlemen. The issue was whether or not you saw any injuries on the defendant. That was a yes or no.
Did you only see injuries on the right side of Nicole Brown's body?
No, it was on the left side also.
You described a moment ago a portion of the conversation you had with Nicole Brown at the station. Is that correct?
That's true.
Did you have additional conversation with her?
Yes.
What was that additional conversation?
What foundation? What?
At
Additional-
West LA Station.
All right. Overruled.
Had to do with why the argument occurred.
She told you why the argument occurred?
All right, let me
Yes.
see counsel at sidebar.
We already know, though, there were pictures on the wall that they didn't like, so they got into a fight about it.
All right, thank you, counsel. Mr. Darden, you may continue. Certainly.
Conversation you had with Nicole Brown at West LA Station, Detective.
It was, she told me why the argument had occurred that night.
What did she tell you?
She said that there was two other women living in the house, and that O.J. Simpson had sex with one of them prior to going to bed that night with her.
I
Was
thought
that in
they
your
said
report?
that
No.
Nicole had pictures on the wall of an ex.
Why not?
Because right after I finished the report and turned it in, I started getting phone calls from the news media and newspapers, and I didn't feel that it was a relevant part of the report of the crime, and it would just be a sensationalism thing.
You saw both Nicole Brown and the defendant that night. Is that correct?
Yes.
Who was the biggest physically?
O.J. Simpson was about 6'1", 215 pounds, and didn't appear to have an ounce of fat on him.
He seemed to be in good physical condition.
Extremely good.
Why did you go into the house at Brown?
Why didn't I go? It was because it was an officer safety problem with a injured victim in the rear of my car, and I couldn't leave my partner alone, go into a locked facility like that, and there was no way anybody could get in to help me in case I needed something.
You indicated to Mr. Coughlin that you'd never seen the defendant angry prior to January 1, 1989. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And yet you told us today that he appeared angry to you.
That's correct.
Okay. Was there anything about him physically that caused you to conclude that he was angry?
Yes, his facial demeanor, his voice, and he had veins were popping out right here on the upper part of his head, along the side of his head. There were veins were pulsating and popping out, and I had never seen that before on television or anything.
So you associated that with anger.
Yes.
You could have arrested the defendant in his underwear had you wanted.
Overruled.
Yes.
Cochran, shut up.
Because I knew that if I took O.J. Simpson, a person with that stature, to the station in his underwear, that there would be repercussions because the media would show up and it would get blown out of proportion.
You also told Mr. Cochran that you did not indicate in the report that Nicole Brown was.
That's correct.
Anything about her demeanor that night that caused you to believe that she was intoxicated?
None.
Have you had training in domestic violence?
Yes, I have.
Have you had training in the profile of a
Can I object to this question? This is improper legal examination, improper question.
Sustain.
Did the defendant appear afraid at all?
Because they took her to the station, but it was only a wife that was beat by her husband. There's no it was no big mystery to solve. There were three Polaroids left. They took the picture. She wanted to go home. So they were just going to take her home anyway. They weren't really going to press charges. It wasn't going to be a long trial that he hit her. It was, it was domestic violence. She just goes back home and that was it back then. It wasn't a big deal.
No.
She appeared to be afraid of him.
Yes,
Overruled.
She appeared to be terrified.
You described earlier the mud on Nicole Brown. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you see any mud on the defendant?
None.
I have a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Reason other than a desire to be with her children, that is for her not going down to Parkinson.
That was it. She just wanted to get back to her children.
Is that what she told you at West LA Station?
Yes.
Why didn't you keep her at the station?
She wanted to get back to her children.
Was she under arrest?
No.
Has she violated any law?
None.
Was there any indication that she beating up the defendant?
No.
And you did speak to the defendant, right?
Yes.
He didn't tell you that she beat him up, did he?
No, he did not.
You did book her pants into evidence?
No, I photographed him.
Why didn't you book her pants?
I felt the photograph significantly depicted what had happened to her in regards to the pants.
You told Mr. Cochran that the defendant said that the police had been out to the location 8 times before.
Yes.
Were you surprised to hear that from the defendant?
Sustain.
Well, you didn't go back to the station and check the records to see if the LAPD had been to the house 8 times before, did you?
No.
Why not?
So I felt the detective assigned to the case would do that. Once I put that statement in there, I figured it would be part of his follow-up.
When the defendant told you that the police had been out to the house 8 times before, did he tell you that they'd been there on social calls?
No, matter of fact, I believe it was the same sort of thing.
Hold on. What's? Overruled.
Ito,
I said
shut him up.
overruled.
Shut him up.
Question is, when the defendant told you that the police had been out to the house 8 times before, did he tell you that they had been there on social calls? Yes or no?
Yes, the police had been out there before.
Tell you that they'd been there on social calls.
Oh, no, they were there for the same kind of an incident.
Cochran.
Let me see if I understand that last answer. Mr. Simpson told you that the police had been out 8 times before for the same kind of call? He told you that?
What he said was that
No, I'm asking
been
you a
out
question.
here for the same, similar type call, yeah. Been out here before for this, and you never did anything before.
Mr. Simpson told you, I'm trying to listen to my question if you're right. Mr. Simpson tell you that the police had been out 8 times before on calls involving a situation where he and his wife had been in a fight. He told you that?
Yes,
And did you write that in any report?
yes,
And what did you say? If I showed you the report, can you show me where you said that?
yes.
I'll read it to you and then I'll ask you this is what you meant.
Let me show the report to the witness. So, yes, I am on copy.
This is my examination, I think, at this point.
That's correct. Doesn't have to show it to him to confront him with it. Mr. Cochran.
Thank you very kindly again. Particular page, or Mr. Douglas is looking for it. Mr. Simpson told you, did he not, that you were the only one to come to his house and make a big deal of this? Did he make that statement to you?
Yes,
And at the time he made that statement to you, he was again inside the fence and you were outside the fence, right?
that's correct.
And you've described for us that he had a robe on, is that correct?
During part of this incident, he had a robe on.
And you described for the jury that at all times he had a robe and some shorts on, sir? Can you say that?
No, he came back out dressed after a period of time.
I'm talking about during this part of the conversation, Detective. You have a robe and some shorts on?
Right.
You never, on any occasion, went over and examined Mr. Simpson's body, did you?
I was standing within a foot of him, and I could see him, and had him illuminated. We were looking through a fence.
Can you try answering my question now? Did you ever go over and examine Mr. Simpson's body?
You mean go into the property and examine it?
You know what examine means?
Yes, I examined him with my flashlight as he was standing in front of me, from standing on the outside of the fence as he was standing on the inside.
And you examined him. And when you examined him, did you examine his back?
No,
Did you examine his, the rear part of his legs?
no.
Part of his body covered by the robe, sir?
None of the part covered by the robe.
None of the body was covered by the robe?
I said I did not examine any of the part that was covered by the robe.
So there was a part, and was he wearing this robe as a robe would be worn, covering his entire body? Was it a long robe?
But it was open, loose and open in the front.
Was it a long robe?
Yes, 3/4 length.
And was it tied at the waist?
No, it was open.
And so the parts that you would not be able to see would be part of his chest, part of the front, and all of his back. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
You could not see any of that. Is that correct?
I could see part of his chest, the front part of his legs, his upper legs, lower legs, his feet, his hands, his face, and his neck. But
I
I
ask
could not
you-
see the back or the arms or the sides.
The other parts of his body you could not see and did not examine. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Now, this conversation at West Los Angeles Station, it's your testimony that Ms. Nicole Brown Simpson told you that this argument was over Mr. Simpson having sex with one of the housekeepers?
No, I didn't say that.
Who'd you say he had sex with?
I didn't say he had sex with anybody. I said that she told me that he had sex with, I believe it was she described it as a personal secretary. It was two women that were living in the house, and he had sex with one of them prior to this incident.
Did she give you the name of this person?
No, I didn't ask.
Now, did you write that down anywhere?
No, I wasn't going to use it in the report.
Did you write that down anywhere?
No.
And when you tell us that today, that's from your recollection, is that right?
Yes.
And do you remember the name of this person at all?
I didn't ask any names.
And this conversation wherein she told you that he had sex with a personal secretary or something of that nature, did anybody else overhear that conversation other than yourself?
I don't believe so.
Just the two of you, right? Just you
My
and Mr.
partner may have overheard it. I don't know where she was at the time.
I'm asking that you, as far as you know, just you and Miss Nicole Brown Simpson, right?
My partner may have overheard it. I don't know.
It was at West Los Angeles Station?
Yes.
In the lobby there, is that right?
No, I believe it was towards the front door area as we were leaving, or somewhere in that area.
Well, what else did she tell you about this party they had been to?
Nothing.
She tell you they both had been drinking that night?
No, she didn't say anything. I didn't ask if they'd been drinking.
Well, I'm asking you what she told you, sir. Did she tell you that they had gotten home about 3:30 from a party on New Year's Eve?
I can't remember what time she said they got home. I don't know if she did tell me what time they got home.
So you don't recall that, whether or not that happened?
I don't remember her telling me what time they got home from the party.
She mentioned to you that the argument had been over some earrings. Do you recall that?
No, she said it was over somebody that was living in the house.
She never mentioned to you anything about any earrings. Is that right?
Not that I can recall.
And certainly you didn't write that down, did you?
No.
Now, you described, in response to one of counsel's questions, that you saw veins pulsating out of Mr. Simpson's head. Is that right?
Yes.
And did you write that down in your report also, so you'd have a recollection of that?
Nope.
You didn't write that down either, did you?
No.
Do you recall Mr. Simpson saying to you that he and his wife had been involved in an altercation and had a kind of a mutual wrestling match? Do you remember him saying that?
I don't believe he ever said they had a wrestling match. I think he said he pushed her out of the bed, but he didn't beat her. I don't remember him ever using the word wrestling match.
You don't recall the words wrestling match?
Matter of fact, I'm positive he didn't say that.
All right, but you remember he said he pushed her out of the bed?
Right.
And you understood that she got this mud when she was pushed out of the bed?
No.
Now, as I understand it, as an experienced officer at that time, you had almost 20 years of experience. You came upon this scene, and you saw Miss Nicole Brown Simpson, and you didn't, in the course of your investigation, speak to any other witness other than her. Is that correct? Overruled. Is that right?
That's incorrect. I talked to Mr. O.J. Simpson.
Well, let's take it one at a time. You didn't talk to Michelle Abduran, right?
Other than to tell her to get away from the car.
I'm talking about with regard to the investigation. You didn't talk to her about this case, right?
That's correct.
You didn't go in and talk to the nanny, right?
That's correct.
You never even went inside the house, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't go look to see where this might have taken place, did you?
No.
You talked to Mr. O.J. Simpson, and he told you, according to your statement, that he had pushed her out of his bed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But he hadn't beat her, right?
That's correct.
And then based upon that, you then decided you were going to place him under arrest, right?
No.
Well, you then made a decision while you're outside this gate.
I know.
Place Mr. O.J. Simpson under arrest. Isn't that correct?
I'm
That's
trying.
correct.
And is there anybody else around there that you talked to?
I talked to Nicole Simpson, and I saw her.
Okay. Courtroom cat started. My courts have started. So we gotta break it here. We can't make it to the end of this one today because it's still another 30-some minutes away. All right. There's only 20 people in here, but all right. We're gonna go raid courtroom cat. as soon as I set it up. I forgot what I was doing for a second. Because I'm late. I'm late. I went over time. We get to do more of Cochran tomorrow. Do not worry. He's frustrating. He's got my blood boiling more than the mom does, who can't possibly pump. Gosh. Thank you so much for coming out today, guys. Take a minute to breathe. Then we'll be at Courtroom Cats. I can't stay though. I have to get my recordings going. Have a great day, guys. I will see you after I get off work tonight. Bye.